Hey everyone, we are going to show you today how to make a file that you will be able to laser cut using OnShape. So we are going to start. This is your home base for OnShape, so hopefully you've created an account already. When you do, this should be your landing page. And you'll want to start by creating a new document. If you want to put it in a folder, you can go ahead and do that, but what you need is a document. I'm going to call this, we'll just call it DXF example. You give it a more descriptive name for whatever you are trying to make. DXF, by the way, is the file type that we're going to create. That's what we're able to send over to our laser cutting program. So this is actually a 3D modeling software. DXF is a two-dimensional vector file, but we are going to use it to make something two-dimensional. So first thing I want to do is create a sketch. I'm going to choose my front plane. You could choose any plane to start with, but I like to use the front depending on what I'm creating, either the front or the top. And then that's where we build from. So I'm going to change my view, click on my view cube here to make sure that I'm seeing that full plane there. And I'm going to click sketch. So I'm creating a sketch on this plane. So up here, you will see on this toolbar all sorts of tools that we can use to create whatever two-dimensional shapes we might need. So we have lines, we have rectangles, so there's different ways to create rectangles there. We've got circles and ellipses, arcs. We can make polygons. Spline is like a smooth curved line that you define by like pivot points. And then you can do like text and other things like that. So those are the main tools you might need. If you need something specific, you could always, Google what you might need to use for that. We've got some tools over here like mirror, making patterns, etc., etc. So play around with those depending on what you might be trying to make. So for today, I'm going to say that we're trying to create a wheel of some kind with notches around the outside so that we can put in 1/4 inch pieces of wood. So it's going to look like a water wheel. So I'm going to take a circle and I'm going to start at the origin and I'm going to extend it out. And if I clicked on the center and now I'm just moving the mouse. If I click again, it's going to let me change this diameter. So let's say I want that diameter to be 8. I'll just type in 8, press enter. It's bigger than what the plane looks like, but that's fine. We know that planes, geometrically speaking, go on forever. So if it's bigger than that box, totally fine. So here's my circle, but I want to cut some notches in this. So how do I do that? There's a few different ways to, but I'll show you one method. So I'm going to take a rectangle and I am going to create a rectangle here from this radial line. And I'm going to make it yay big and then define the parameters. So I want to be able to fit a 1/4 inch piece of wood in here. And you may have to adjust, like if you were putting in something that's 1/4 inch in here, you may have to adjust the tolerance. So maybe you don't want it actually a 1/4 inch, maybe you want it just a little bit less so that it will actually stay snugly in there. And you may have to play around with that a little bit. But we're going to assume for right now, since I haven't tested it out, that I want this to be a 1/4 inch wide. Right now, what I'm making is half of that. So I'm going to make this 0.125. Oops, 125. And let's make the depth. Oops, accidentally clicked off. No problem. The way to fix that is this dimension tool over here. And I can then dimension this. Let's say I want to make this 1 inch deep. Okay. So this is 1/8 of an inch wide and it's a little off center. So what I want to do is double this, kind of mirror it, exactly mirror it to the other side of this line. So there's a tool specifically for that, and it's here, mirror. So I'm going to select the mirror line first, which is this one. That's what I am reflecting over. And then I'm going to select the entities to be mirrored, which are these lines here. And you can see that it's mirrored those lines. And I'm going to press enter, click off of that. I've mirrored them. Beautiful. And now I'm just going to trim away all those unnecessary lines. So trim tool, this allows you to cut away shapes that you no longer need. That point, I may have to just click on and hit delete on my keyboard. But now I've got this pretty notch. Something you want to look out for if you haven't 3D modeled before is notice that this shape is shaded in. It's kind of like gray blue. So that's how we know that the shape is what we call closed. And you want to make sure that your shape is closed so that if you're laser cutting this, then you can have a shape that will completely cut out. And if you are 3D modeling, you want to make sure that you're able to extrude it, make it a three-dimensional object. So you want to see that that's shaded in. If you cut too much, it will not be shaded and you know that something's wrong here. So I'm going to undo what I just did. All right, so we have one notch. Just to show you another tool, I'm going to show you how I would make that notch go all the way around, or make several notches that go all the way around. I'm going to use this tool, not linear pattern, but instead circular pattern. So I'm going to do that around this point here. What I'm going to do is just select my lines that I'm going to copy around. And it already knew where I was putting those. But it's not the right amount. It only has 3. So if I click on this 3x, double click. There we go. Let's make 9 of them. No, that's a silly number. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's make 8 of them. Okay. There's 8. 8 paddles all the way around. So 1 at every 45 degrees. And if I then click out of this, oh, that's not what I meant to do. Let's try that again. Yeah, click something I wasn't supposed to. If at first you don't succeed, try again. Let's undo. So mirror, not mirror. Circular pattern. Okay, so I've selected those. Make this 9, sorry, 8. We said 8. Press enter. There's my pattern. I'm going to click my check mark. They're there, but I haven't actually cut them out. As you can see here, those are part of the shaded area. So I'm going to have to go back into my sketch over here on the left side. Make sure you only have one sketch for this, by the way. If you've created another sketch accidentally, you're going to want to delete one and go back so you only have one sketch going at a time. So now I'm just going to go back in and trim. We're almost done here. And now we can see the shaded part is exactly what we want. And I'll be able to laser cut this and stick in some paddles here, making it 3-dimensional. So now I'm going to finish my sketch. If this is exactly what you want, it all looks good. What you're going to do is right click on the object itself, go down to export as DXF/DWG, and you are going to name that part. We'll call it water wheel. We're going to make sure it's in format DXF, unless you're trying to make a DWG, in which case you could also choose that. And all of these are fine. We're going to hit export. And there is your file that you are going to be able to use in your laser cutting program. Now, if you were to continue this, if you wanted to 3D print this, you're almost there as well. You would have to extrude this. So this is the isometric view. You can see it from an angle. It's still two-dimensional. It doesn't have any depth. But if we use this extrude, we can extrude our shape out. So let's say we want it 1/2 inch wide. I can set my depth right here, press the check mark, and now we have a 3-dimensional shape. See from the front, from the side. And now I can right click on the tab at the bottom that says Part Studio 1. You might want to name that your part's name, but right click on that, hit export. Oh, I have to finish my extrude. Sorry about that. Let's try that again. Right click, export, and then you'll name it. For what we do, at least, we would need an STL file. And we change that to millimeters, but your settings might be different based on your needs and your 3D printing. And you click OK. And now you've got a 3D printable file. So those are the quickest ways to get your DXF and your STL files using OnShape. I highly recommend that you explore these tools a little bit just for creating your shapes. Remember that this panel, this tool set here is going to be different than when you click sketch. So once you're in a sketch, it's a 2-dimensional tools. And when you exit that, it's 3-dimensional tools. So you can play around with those. If you're creating something to be laser cut, you're not going to be dealing with these 3D ones for the most part. But if you are 3D printing, you will certainly be using these. I hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.